7.
Really worry about Kansas City. Joe Thuney is one of the more valuable offensive linemen in the league. Left. And they didn't want him to leave. They couldn't afford him. They don't have a left tackle. They paid a lot for Jalen Moore, who's never been a starter. And there's pass rushers all over that division. By the way, they're not going to go 11-0 in one-score games. Raiders are better. Broncos will be better. The Chargers will be better. Listen, it never lasts forever. I think it's going to be a slight pullback here. I still have them as a playoff team. You're not going 11-0 in one-score games. The division now is simply too good.
So, yeah, I'm not going to discount or discredit the Kansas City Chiefs. I think a slight step back can make a lot of sense. I think when you look at obviously how the Super Bowl ended and how just much the Eagles dominated them, it's hard to not think about that, right? That's your last memory of the Kansas City Chiefs, and you're talking about their O-line not being good, and now their O-line potentially has gotten even worse, or at the very least, there's like legitimate question marks surrounding it. So I understand the hesitation, and it does also feel like the division has gotten better. The Broncos should be better, the Chargers should be better, and the Raiders should be better. So those are no longer gimme wins. I still think that the Chiefs will still obviously be a high-level team. Do they have an easy path to get the 1 seed? That's probably, to me, the bigger thing about the Chiefs, is that they don't have an easier path to get this 1 seed. Because I do think they'll be competing with the Bills and the Ravens probably more than anything. Maybe the Chargers, who knows, but most likely the Bills and the Ravens more than anything. And when you have tougher divisional games like that, who really knows? Because now you look at the Ravens and you're like, well, the Ravens, who's the quarterback for the Steelers? Whoever even could be the quarterback for the Steelers is not going to make them, a true contender for the number 1 seed. And the Ravens should be able to get some wins against the Steelers. They just should. I mean, like, who's it going to be? Is it going to be Russell Wilson? Is it going to be Aaron Rodgers? I mean, like, who the heck is it going to be? Nobody even knows right now. So that's already checked for them. The Bengals, are they going to actually improve their defense? Yes or no? We're going to find out sooner rather than later, but like, yes or no? Is their defense going to? Because if not, again, no excuse for the Ravens to come away with those wins. And the Browns, again, who's the quarterback for the Cleveland Browns? Is it going to be Kirk Cousins maybe? Like, who knows? So these should be easy wins for the Ravens. The Jets, the Bills are going to lose to the Jets with Justin Fields? Like, no? Come on. Are we being serious here? I do think the Patriots are going to be better, but the Bills should still have a massive head start on the Patriots. So these are just easy wins that the Bills and the Ravens should have more lined up, and that's just their division. So I think that's probably one of the bigger battles that a team like the Chiefs have going for them more than anything. And even when those teams were bad in years past, the Broncos, the Raiders, they still found ways to kind of pull off some wins. And now this team is even better. These teams should be better. You have to imagine that they're going to be able to actually also come away with some legitimate wins as well. And like I talked about as well before with the Chiefs, like, there is a real possibility that Xavier Worthy gets suspended because of the stuff that's going on with his fiance. And again, I'm not saying that he's guilty of anything. I have zero idea, and I'm not going to go do deep dives in that. I know other YouTube channels do that, and that's just not something that I'm personally comfortable doing, nor do I really want to, I like to keep it sports. But when we're trying to evaluate this team, and there's the real likelihood that Rashee Rice and Xavier Worthy are suspended next season, that is a real thing, that when you're trying to figure out how good the team is, if they're both suspended for just 6 games, 4 games, 5, whatever it may be, that's obviously going to hurt them. That is a real issue that they will have to try to figure out, and we just don't have all that information yet. Quite frankly, if any of the stuff is even remotely true with Xavier Worthy, I believe he would be cut. I believe that he would I don't know if he would be even in the NFL playing for any team anytime soon, because it's also not some random woman. It's his fiance. If it was some random woman that we were kind of like, I don't know, this sounds kind of sketchy or this or that, I would understand it a little bit more. But the fact that it's actually his fiance, someone that was obviously well established within his life, it just becomes a lot harder to ignore. And again, I'm not taking sides who I think is guilty, not guilty. I don't have the information. You don't have the information. Quite frankly, only like 2 people have the information, and that's the 2 of them. So we don't have the information, and that's why I'm not going to make any videos. Like, I hate when I see titles on certain videos where it's like, Kansas City Chiefs in trouble because Xavier Worthy, this, that. Like, I'm not going to do that until it like officially is somehow concluded in some way. I'm just, I'm not, a tabloid magazine at a grocery store. But to me, it feels impossible to not at least mention that when trying to predict how good a team will be in the future when you're talking about these legitimate weapons not being there. We know Rashee Rice not being there for the Chiefs really hurt them. We're pretty confident. Again, even superfan Nick Wright is like, Rashee Rice is most likely going to be suspended for at least 4 games. And again, that superfan Nick Wright, he's even saying that, okay, we know that. And they haven't even touched the Xavier Worthy type thing, because obviously he's denying and all that. And that's why I'm not coming out here saying that he's guilty or this or that, because like I said, I have zero idea. But if even we know how the NFL is, if any of this is even remotely true, it just feels like I just don't see how the NFL wouldn't act in some capacity. And the Kansas City Chiefs even know that firsthand because of previous players that they've had. And so I think that's, it does need to be discussed. But like I said, maybe it all comes out to be not real, not true, manipulation or whatever. Then, that's not an issue. And, if it is, then, obviously, then it's not an issue, I suppose. But, when I went through it and read some of the accusations, like, I was uncomfortable. And so I was just kind of like, oh, like, if even any of this is even remotely true, like, that's the problem. If some of it is even just remotely true, a semblance of truth, it's like, I just don't see how he just casually goes through the season. It's just hard for me to see. But there also hasn't been any other updates on it either. So who really knows? And it's an unfortunate situation where that has to be like a legitimate talking point about this Chiefs team, unfortunately. But he's obviously a huge offensive weapon for the Chiefs. Was supposed to take another step forward. The whole promise of this offense is supposed to be Rashee Rice, Xavier Worthy, great defense, Patrick Mahomes, Andy Reid. Like, that is a core. It's like saying, looking at the Eagles and being like, I don't know if AJ Brown and Devontae are going to be there. It's like, well, then I don't know how good the Eagles are going to be good next season then, right? Like, it's impossible to not bring up or discuss when trying to evaluate a team. So if they're both playing, if Xavier Worthy's there, Rashee Rice is there, and the O-line is just, decent, good enough, well then, yeah, I'm gonna trust the high level coaching, the high level preparation, the great defense, etc., to still win those games. And I'm certainly not gonna be like, yeah, the Chargers got them beat, the Ravens, the Bills, because you're still gonna be like, out of all those teams, the Chiefs are the most proven to just actually be ready for the moment when the moment calls. Like, that's undeniable. But if there's any other issues with the O-line and any other issues with like the actual offensive weapons, I just, I'm failing to see how the Chiefs would be able to overcome that. But it's still such a wait and see situation, unfortunately. But those are just my thoughts. I'd absolutely love to hear yours. What do you guys think about the Kansas City Chiefs potentially taking a step back? And I guess, like Colin is saying, not everything lasts forever. It's kind of crazy how quick this all happened, right? Literally just about a month ago, this is the greatest team in the history of the NFL. They're not only going to 3-peat, but then they're going to go for 4-peat. And now we're saying, folks, things just don't last forever. They're actually going to go backwards now. Like, it's crazy how fast that can happen. So we'll see if the Chiefs can, push back on that narrative when it's, when it's time to actually ball. Well, let me know your thoughts in the comments below. I read every single comment, so whether you agree with me or disagree with me, either way, let's get in some discussions, let's get in some fights, but ultimately, let's just have some fun. And please do consider subscribing. We are building an amazing community here, and I absolutely love to see you part of it. I want to build something that we all genuinely feel connected to, something that we're really excited to be part of. I think we're well on our way to doing it. Please don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, as it really does help with the visibility and the algorithm. Thank you so much, and see you next time.